In 1835, a group of American colonists led by Dr. Charles Beale were camped at Lake Espontosa, a renowned haunted location near what is now Carrizo Springs in southwest Texas. Half a mile away from the Beale group, John Dent and his pregnant wife Molly Purtle Dent, both from Georgia, had built a brush cabin. Dent had come to trap beaver in the Devil's River area, north of the present-day Del Rio, but was also on the run from the law for the murder of a fellow trapper in Georgia. The Dents were to prove fortunate in their choice of a site distant from the lake. A band of Comanches raided the main Beale camp and massacred most of the inhabitants, afterwards throwing the bodies of the victims in their carts into the lake. Even at this time, Espontosa Lake had acquired a reputation for ghostly happenings. This incident adding to the store of ill luck and sorrow, centering on what to this day Mexicans consider a haunted location. The name Espontosa meaning frightful. As Molly was approaching the end of her pregnancy, the couple was reluctant to travel despite the danger of hostile Indians. One night in May of 1835, there was a severe thunderstorm, and Molly went into labor. She appeared to be having problems with the birth, so Dent decided to ride westward for help. He arrived at a Mexican goat ranch on the Pecos Canyon and told them desperately about his wife's condition, begging for someone to ride back with him. But as the Mexicans prepared their horses to leave, there was a furious crash of thunder, and a bolt of lightning struck Dent from his horse, killing him instantly. After a considerable delay, the goat herders mounted up and followed Dent's directions. However, darkness fell before they had got over the divide to Devil's River, thus delaying the search. Finally, at sunrise the next morning, they located the Dents' isolated cabin. But what they found outside the cabin, in an open brush arbor, was Molly Dent lying dead, alone. She had apparently died in childbirth, but there was no trace of the baby anywhere. The child was never found, but fang marks on the woman's body and numerous wolf tracks over the area made the goat herders naturally assume that the infant had either been devoured or carried off by Lobo wolves. But this was just the beginning of the story. 10 years later, in 1845, a boy living at San Felipe Springs, Del Rio, reportedly saw a creature with long hair covering its features that looked like a naked girl attacking a herd of goats in the company of a pack of Lobo wolves. The story was ridiculed by many, but still managed to spread back among the settlements. Around a year after this incident, a Mexican woman at San Felipe claimed she had seen 2 large wolves and an unclothed young girl devouring a freshly killed goat. She approached close to the group, she said, before they saw her and ran off. Usually it is very dangerous for humans to eat raw meat. Since the wolf girl never had the chance to learn how to cook a ham or other meats, her body must have become accustomed to digesting uncooked meats, just like a wolf. The woman noticed that the girl ran initially on all 4s, but then rose up and ran on 2 feet, keeping close to the wolves. The woman was in no doubt about what she had seen, and the scattering of the people in the Devil's River country began to keep a sharp watch for the girl. There were similar reports by others in the region during the following year, and Apache stories told of a child's footprints, sometimes accompanied by handprints, having been found among wolf tracks in sandy places along the river. A hunt was organized to capture the Lobo or wolf girl of Devil's River, as she had now become known, comprising mainly Mexican vaqueros. On the 3rd day of the hunt, the naked girl was sighted near Espontosa Lake, running with a pack of wolves. She moved smoothly on all fours, but was rather awkward when made to stand up straight. The girl was put on a horse and taken to the nearest ranch, an isolated two-room shack amid the desert wilderness. She was put in one of the rooms and unbound, the cowboys offering her a covering for her body and food and water, but she refused, cowering in a dark corner. They left her alone for the night, locking the door and posting a guard outside. The only other opening in the room was a small boarded-up window. But as night fell, the cowboys heard terrifying howls coming from the wolf girl's room. The strange cries carried through the still night air, unsettling her captors and soon finding answers from among the wolf pack in the wilderness beyond the shack. Soon there were long, deep howls coming from all sides as the pack grew closer to the house, and occasionally strange howling screams from the girl answering them from inside of her dark room. Suddenly the large pack of wolves charged into the corrals, attacking the goats, cows, and horses, and bringing the cowboys outside, shooting and yelling to drive them away. In all the confusion, the wolf girl managed to tear the planks from the window and escape into the night. The howls soon abated, and the wolves crept back into the wilderness. The next day, not a trace of the girl could be found. Though there are few unverified reports in the following years of a young, haired, covered girl being seen with a wolf pack in the area, no one ever came in close contact with her. Meanwhile, gold had been discovered in California and westward travel had increased significantly. In 1852, a surveying party of frontiersmen searching for a new route in El Paso were riding down to the Rio Grande at a bend far above the mouth of the Devil's River. They were almost at the water's edge when they saw at close range, sitting on a sandbar, a young woman suckling two wolf cubs. Suddenly she saw them, quickly grabbed the pups, and dashed into the brakes at such a rate that it was impossible for the horsemen to follow. The girl would have been 17 years old that year, after she disappeared into the wilderness forever. It is impossible to know what became of Molly Dent's daughter, presuming that's who the wolf girl was. There were subsequent reports of human-faced wolves in the area right up until the 1930s. And author L.D. Bertillon wrote in 1937, "During the past 40 years, I have in the western county met more than one wolf face strongly marked with human characteristics." The story of the wolf girl of Devil's River reads more like a folk tale than a real feral child case, and the large amount of evidence for what happened is all anecdotal. She does, however, seem to live in a more subtle form. Her ghost has apparently been seen in the old San Felipe Springs area beside the banks of Devil's River. In 1974, a hunter in this area claimed to have seen her again, in the form of a white apparition which vanished before his eyes. Back in the autumn of 1835, when John and Molly Dent had newly arrived in Texas, Molly wrote her mother an odd letter. It said merrily, "Dear Mother, the devil has a river in Texas that is all his own, and it is made for only those who are grown. Yours with love, Molly."